Hey everybody, it's Chad from Pasture Lake Cabins. Many of you know that last year I sat down with Babe Winkelman, the man, the myth, the legend, Babe Winkelman, and did an in-depth interview with him at his home in Brainerd, Minnesota. For those of you that don't know Babe, and it's kind of hard to believe that anybody doesn't know him, but for you youngsters out there that don't know him, the guy is just an absolute legend in the fishing industry. He started his own TV production company. He's a syndicated writer all over the U.S. He has some like 20 million viewers or readers, and he's won hundreds, if not thousands, of awards for his abilities in writing and TV production and conservation, all that stuff. The guy is awesome. He's wicked smart, and he's just an absolute wealth of information. It was a lot of fun to sit down and just pick his brain for a couple hours. So 2 hours of footage. I've tried to cut it down as much as I can and put it into small segments so you can come back and view those when you have time. So we'll sit back, enjoy, and hope to see you at Pasture Lake. Sitting here today with the legend, the myth, Babe Winkelman. I want to say thanks to Babe for taking the time out of your busy schedule, obviously, to do something like this. And the reason that we're doing this is because we want to help people who are thinking about going to Ontario for a fishing trip in the summer or even ice fishing. We want to help them plan a trip and avoid some of the more common mistakes that people tend to make. Of course, we want to talk fishing too. What interview would be an interview without talking fishing with Babe Winkelman? So, sir, I want to thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome very much. But you know, the easier we can make it for people, the more they can understand about the options that Ontario has. The more they can more quickly make a good decision and have it turn out with the result that they're looking for.
Right.
People are looking for a lot of different things when it comes to why do I go fishing in Ontario. Years ago we did a study. I've been the ambassador for Ontario for 20 some years to the United States on fishing and hunting. And we did a study of 1,000 people that came to Ontario specifically on a fishing trip. They spent between $500 and $3,000 on the trip. And the number 4 reason was to catch fish, and the number 5 reason was the size of the fish. So there's a lot of other things that make up a great vacation, or as they say in Canada, a great holiday when it comes to going fishing.
So you've got me with bated breath here. What was the number 1 reason?
To get away from the concrete jungle normal workday routines. You know, I mean, we are so far removed from God's plan and design of Earth right now that about 3 years ago they come up with a problem that they diagnosed in young people in America called a nature deficit disorder. There are kids in America who haven't even ever seen a green blade of grass, much less have any comprehension what an ecosystem is or how it works or why. No, most of the people in America, Canada as well as the United States, don't understand that the essence of life on Earth, first, in order to have life on Earth, something has to die. Be it a plant or an animal, but without the death of a plant or an animal, there is no life. That's the design of things. Hunting, fishing, gathering, etc. was not our idea. That was the way the Earth was designed and developed, and the only way it can possibly operate. So there's a lot of education in a lot of it, but they're looking to get away from their concrete jungle. Secondly was to see the flora and fauna and the critters out there doing their thing in nature. I mean, if you've never been on a granite lake in Ontario and been there at sunrise when you hear the loons screaming and then echoing and bouncing off of the granite and just making the hair stand up on the back of your head, you haven't lived. You know, they love that. And thirdly is having a great time with family or friends. 4th was catching fish, and number 5 was the size of the fish. So a good vacation encompasses a lot of things and a lot of different kinds of experiences.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been in Canada. I've owned the lodge for 10 years, and I would have never guessed that in a million years. So I would have said fishing first. So very interesting. Now, you've been coming to Ontario for...
Since 1969.
So what brings you back? What is the attraction? I know you talked about a little bit in the survey there, but what keeps bringing you back? What's the big draw for you, especially with all this fishing opportunities that you have worldwide?
Well, Ontario is a special place. You have the Precambrian Shield in the western half of Ontario itself. Some of the oldest glacial rock in the world. It's just beautiful. I mean, some of the lakes are so crystal clear you can see walleyes swimming across reefs in 25 feet of water. You can see them with your eyes. There's wildlife everywhere. There's bear, there's moose, there's a lot of different critters. So many of the lakes are just totally unpopulated or almost totally unpopulated. I mean, Brainerd, where I live here, there's 464 lakes within a 30-mile radius of town. It's also the #1 area in the United States to buy a lake home real estate-wise. And I mean, the homes are a few feet apart.
Yep.
So it's like going to a city wrapped around the lake. Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
That's going to pick up.
If you got to take phone calls, these guys are not important either. So.
We learned that a long time ago.
I like the getaway part. I like the rawness of Ontario, if you will. That whole big half. And then you have the Laurentian Shield in the eastern portion of Ontario. Different kinds of lakes, different kinds of flora and fauna. It isn't just pine trees. And, you know, there's so much that way. But I think all of it together is what drives me there. The fishing is unbelievable. But it's not just, you're not going to go to a lake and, okay, I'm in Ontario now, so I can start casting out any lure just like any dummy and expect the fish are going to attack.
Yeah.
That's where people make mistakes. They don't know what to do right. And practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. If you spend a lot of time doing the wrong things, you'll just spend a lot of time getting the wrong results.
Yeah.
You've got to be doing the right things consistently, whether you're in Ontario or any place else.
That leads into my next question. Is obviously you've had tremendous success in the fishing industry, tremendous success fishing in general. The Fishing Hall of Fame, I read that you were inducted into that. Numerous other awards. What do you think has made you so successful, not in business, but when you are on the water and just looking around here, what has made you so successful with catching the quantity of fish that you've caught?
Because I know how to hunt them. I have spent my life figuring out how to hunt fish. I grew up on a farm. We had a creek there, and it didn't, I mean, every waking minute I had that was free from farm chores, I was on that creek fishing. And it didn't take me but a couple of summers to realize that sometimes the chubs, there's chub shiners, bullhead suckers, and stuff like that. It wasn't much for good fish in there, but they were all good to me. I was young, they bit. But sometimes they were up in the rapids. Sometimes they were in deep pools. Sometimes they'd be in different kinds of places. And the same fish I was catching, and I was the only person fishing it, and it was a captive situation. But they simply, I learned that they moved around. So I said, okay, how come? Why would you be moving around? Why wouldn't, if the rapids is a good place to feed, why wouldn't you always be in the rapids? Mm-hmm. And I started to understand that there's a lot of things that they eat that we don't know, and that they're also driven by one instinct. All critters on earth, every plant and every animal is driven by the same instinct, and it's called survival of the fittest, period. And that's what they do. That's what they don't think about, let me go to the rapids today because it's a good place to eat. They are guided and driven by instinct, a primal instinct that forces them to seek out the very best that they can do at the moment to give themselves the best chance at survival. Humans are the only ones that think we're smarter than God and we can change the plan over here,
Yeah.
and they're wrong. Anytime we think we're smarter than God, we're just proving how stupid we are.
I agree, 100%.
So that's where it started. And then my dad took my fishing. We were farmers, but my dad always loved to fish and hunt, and he took me to my first real lake. And I seen bluegills spawning, and we caught 2 gunny sacks full of them. There were no limits back in the 50s. And to see all those fish swirling and spinning around, it was amazing. My brother and I dug 2 big cans of worms out of the garden, and it had used up all the worms, and we were out of bait. And then I was jiggling a little gold hook over the side of the boat, and I got a perch minnow interested in that. And the perch took a pass at it, and I jerked to set the hook, and I hooked him in the eyeball, and his eyeball popped out when I was trying to take him off and was on the hook. I thought, what the heck? I threw it out, boom, had a sunfish. Hey, we're back in business, you know? And you start to learn and piece it together.
Sure.
I've always had a drive. Dad said if you're going to do something, either do it well or not at all. That means give it 100%. Don't give it 90%. Don't say, well, I'll give it a try and see what happens. Because when you take that kind of an attitude towards anything, nothing's going to happen that's going to be good. You've got to go to handle the task at hand and get it handled in style and get it done right. And I've just always been driven that way because of the little sayings and so forth that my father had to teach me and the way that he taught. It's amazing how dumb you think they are when you're younger and how smart they become as you get older.
I hope
It's
my
just-
kids learn the same lesson.
Oh, they will. They will. All kids will. You know, provided that what you're giving them for information when you're young is the right stuff, because they'll then soon find out,
Yeah.
hey, he did know what he was talking about.
Does it ever get old?
Does life ever get old? Sure, life gets old. We get older with it and so forth. But the drive for life, the drive for making today the greatest day you can make today, how can that get old?
Yeah.
How can, you can never master hunting fish because there are too many variables, too many kinds of fish, too many situations, too many opportunities. You can get better and better and better and better and better and better. And you can second guess the fish when you get good at it and know about what you should do ahead of time, but you're constantly learning. And I have never ever in my life got tired of learning something new, learning something else. I know that it's there. I know that there's a million more answers out there than I will ever have time to learn, but I want to learn every one that I can. So no, it doesn't get boring for me. It doesn't get lackluster for me. I love catching fish. I love hunting animals. I love being out in nature. I don't have to catch the crap out of the fish today to have a good day fishing.
Right.
But it sure helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because that's the goal. When I go out there, I know that, let's say I'm going to a lake for walleyes. If I took a look at the whole population of this lake, there might be 10 different things that walleyes are doing today in that lake. 10 different patterns.
Yep.
By the way food is set up and this, that, and the other. My goal is to find the one or two best patterns that the highest percentage of big fish are doing today at that time.
The 80-20 rule.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's so you're working. Even if you found fish here, that doesn't mean that's the only thing happening. If you didn't find the size and quality of fish that you're looking for, well then let's move and take it someplace else. Let's keep going and look for that pattern today.